you just made. One, I feel like in the last couple of months, I've been hearing a term that I've never heard before, the Refi-In term.
Cash
And it
in
was like,
refi.
yeah, all of a sudden overnight, it was like, oh, there's this new term out there. And I heard it on one podcast. And then all of a sudden, it was like wildfire. I just kept hearing, like, A, that's a good thing if your operator has the capital and I guess, the brand loyalty where he can do basically, it's just a nice way of really saying a capital call in one way or another. But if you could say it, actually get it done and save and buy yourself time, that's what you're really doing. You're buying yourself time for the next 3, 5 years, whatever it is. That's great, but you're going to see a disproportionate amount of the newer operators who are in that boat, and they just quit their W-2 and they're posting all over social media about how they quit their job in 18 months and became a big operator. But there's no chance those guys can do a refi-in. So it's definitely an interesting place in the market today. And hopefully it gets a lot of, I don't want to say like a newer guy, like I don't have your 30-year track record, but it would that be a good thing, like you said, almost like a recession, and it'll get a lot of newer operators that weren't really in a position that really should have been operating to get out of the space as well.
Yeah, this definitely separates the proverbial men from the boys kind of thing. It's times like this where good operators are going to rise to the surface. And when you have these kinds of things happen, the groups that survive this are the ones that are probably going to survive longer term. And those are groups you should really be thinking about when you're looking to make passive investments. And the groups that don't survive, and there's going to be a number of them, are probably ones that never should have been in the business in the first place, but conditions were ripe enough. It was easy enough to raise capital that people with no track record and no experience were able to accomplish it. And kudos to them for actually being able to get that far. But these kinds of events happen and it makes it really difficult. It's easy to fly a plane in the sunshine, but when you're doing it in a storm, it requires a little bit of finesse and experience.
And you are a pilot, so that's like a reference with a little disclaimer right there.
A real world example. That's right.
Yeah. What do you think of the recent 2 months of headlines, right? There's a not to say that their strategy is wrong or not, but there are a certain type of heavy value add strategies that are getting in the mud right now. And some of the publications like The Real Deal, and I'm sure you've seen them. What do you like? What do you think about when you see those articles? 50% just outlandish, but then it's 50%. I'm like, wow, these guys are really going heavy on the gambling by being in debt service of 0.8 when they're buying the property. What do you, someone who's in it for 3 decades, what do you like? Would you ever feel comfortable like practice going in on a 0.8 like debt service and just expect like a $400 or $500 rent bump? Or what is your take when you read like headlines like that?
I've actually done it, and I did it in a recessionary time. In 2011, we had a deal just like that where we bought a foreclosed multifamily property. I think it was 54 units or something like that in Austin, Texas. And it was in really rough shape. It was 70% occupied. The rents were super low. There was a shooting in the parking lot just before it was offered to us. Like everything was going wrong. And we bought that thing super cheap. But people are going to shit when they hear that I bought 54 units for 800 or no, yeah, 800 grand. Yeah, 800 grand for 54 units in Austin, Texas. Now that's a fourplex. It was a time when nobody wanted to buy real estate. Everybody was afraid of it. And there's arbitrage plays will work in any environment. You can do those in up times, down times, sideways times. The trouble, they're few and far between. And so when you see these kinds of arbitrage plays, especially in a market where real estate's still fairly sought after, you always have to question whether the opportunity is real or if it's an overly optimistic sponsor. Are they overshooting the rents and where the rents really are, or do they have really solid comps? Did they really negotiate a real discount, or are they paying above market value? That's where it gets highly suspicious. You don't see a lot of really good heavy value adds in times like these. If you can find one and the numbers are real, they can be incredible opportunities.